Welcome back to the channel. Got a cool little guitar demo here. This is a Harley Benton Amarok Baritone 6. And these come in a couple different colors. This is called the Flame Burst. Try to show that top in there. It's pretty dark, but a very cool flame maple veneer on a mahogany body with black finish. I like it a lot. Matches one of my Legators. It's one of my favorite guitars. Comes stock with EMG retro active pickups. So if you like actives, there you got them. It is, as you can see on the back, a neck through maple with stripes of mahogany. Actually looks gorgeous, feels great down too at the neck. Feels awesome. Ebony fingerboard with stainless steel frets. That's always a nice touch. Really like the dots, though I would, if I was designing this guitar, I'd move the dots past 12 to the bottom, but oh well, not a huge deal. And matching headstock, and comes stock with Harley Benton branded locking tuners. So I've actually had this guitar for quite some time. I ordered it last fall, and it actually lived in the studio for a while. We were using it to record a bit because it just sounds nice. It needs some new strings right now. These are getting pretty old, but comes stock also with, I believe 13 to 60s on it. And it's set up right now in drop C, but very cool guitar. And probably the coolest thing about this, it runs retail like 500 bucks. It is a cheap guitar for all the specs you get. I've always liked Harley Benton stuff. I've liked Thomann, their distributor in Germany, and really just wild amounts of value. Active pickups, active EMG, like brand name pickups. It's not active Harley Benton pickups. These are real, EMGs. So active EMG pickups, stainless steel frets, ebony fingerboard, really nice maple top, locking tuners. Can't really beat it. Fretwork is pretty much immaculate. I mean, you can't feel an absolute thing. I think these are made in Indonesia. Yes, it says made in Indonesia on the back. My only complaint, so stylistically, I would have moved these dots down to the treble side, past fret 12. That's just personal preference and doesn't really matter or affect the playability of the guitar too much. And then the only thing from a construction or actual guitar standpoint that I would change, these locking tuners are stiff. You can just tell kind of using them, they're not as good as hip shot lockers, which are, in my opinion, the best of the best. They're not as good as the Fender locking tuners. They're just not as good. They're better than, just your standard like tuners because they do lock. And the tuning stability has actually been fine, no complaints there. But when you actually move the tuning keys, they are so tight and so stiff, and they kind of jump around on you a little bit. Now, maybe over time, after a couple of years of playing on this guitar and tuning it up and everything, they may loosen up. I don't know. But in the meantime, what's it sound like? And we're just through the Spark 40. Metal preset with a bit of reverb on there. Yeah, it shreds pretty well. I mean, this thing, like I said, it lived in the studio for the first 7 or 8 months that I've had it, and just came back a couple weeks ago as we switched out guitars in the studio. But anyways, it sounds great. It records perfectly. And this is, I've got other baritone guitars. I've got 7 strings, whatever. This thing sounds killer, sounds awesome. Would I put it up right next to the Ormsby? No. But the Ormsby is triple its price at least. So it's not quite as good a playability, and I'd say the main difference on the Ormsby going, back and forth, obviously the Ormsby is fan fret as well, but the back of the neck on the Ormsby is like immaculate, just perfect, cannot be beaten. This is good. This is like 8 out of 10. Ormsby is just 10 out of 10. So. Yeah, sustain for days on, active pickups in general usually have very good sustain. These are no exception. They look cool too. I usually don't really like the look of open core humbuckers as much. I just prefer the covers. But when it's all black with black pull pieces, I actually think that's solid. Bridge is really nice. Only bridge I like better than these are when they just don't have the tray around them. I just really like single saddles. No push pull or anything. There's no second voice on these like Fishman's or anything like that. You could easily drop a set of Fishman's into here in no time, and you've built yourself a Schecter SLS Elite, which I've got 2 of those on the wall behind me. Phenomenal guitars. So they're not baritones. Those are 25-inch scale lengths, and this baritone is 27, if I didn't mention that before. But you're getting virtually the same exact specs as the Schecter. It's one of my favorite guitars, hence I own 2 of them in the same finish. You're getting neck through, really cool flame top finish, stainless steel frets, and the big difference being the Schecters are going to have the Fishman Moderns in them, whereas these have EMGs, both active pickups, and locking tuners on both as well. So if you really want to make yourself a budget SLS, you could snag a Harley Benton and drop in a pair of Fishman Fluence pickups in there, and you are off to the races for what, $700? A pair of Fishman's like 200, I think. And so, yeah, about 700, you'd have built yourself an SLS. Though you can probably find them on the used market right now for about 700, just because the used market is terrible and nobody has any money. But this thing is killer. I like it. Does chugs just fine. A little bit of reverb on there. It's a little weird, but played that little run like shit, but I'm using a pick that's a little too thick for that, in my opinion. Much better there. But it shreds, it goes fast, it chugs. Chugs are killer on neck pickup. I played that like hell. But yeah, neck pickup, I'm not a huge fan. I mean, neck pickup on a baritone is just like Mud City anyways, at least in my experience. We can go tone volume or tone knob down. Actually sounds pretty good there for that lo-fi stuff. Yeah, just a killer guitar. Sounds great. Really no serious complaints. Even my little nitpicking about the locking tuners. At the end of the day, the tuning stability has not been an issue at all whatsoever. Even with strings like these strings are rough. I'm gonna change these probably tonight or tomorrow. So even with bad strings on them that are pretty old, they're really beat up. Tuning stability's been totally fine. No complaints at all. Thing looks killer too. Looks, just badass. I love these dark tops. And we got a very cool Kittens in Outer Space strap on it. That song's on 8-string normally. I'm just trying to figure it out and transpose it as I go. Anyways, that's your review. I'm really happy with it. I think it's got to be the best, probably the best baritone for about $500 that you can buy. I know Squire makes some good baritones now, though they're fairly rare, at least on like the used market and everything. You don't see those hardly ever. Seen maybe one in the last couple of years around me, but for a $500 baritone, that's about as stage and studio ready as you're ever going to get. If I was going to take this thing on stage, I don't think I'd need to change anything. I'd put locking strap locks on it, but I put that on any guitar that goes to stage just because that scares the shit out of me, not having them. Yeah, so that's it. I'd play this if I needed a baritone 6 on stage, which I do not. I would play this. There you have it. Let me know if you got any other Harley Benton stuff. I know it's a little bit more rare in the United States, so we do love our German friends over at Thomann and Harley Benton hooking us up. Shipping as well. This thing did take like a month. It was not quick. It was back ordered though. Now that I think about it, it was back ordered when I bought it, so it probably took a month just because it took a while to come in. I don't know how fast they usually are. It's the only thing I've ever bought from them, but I really like it. And we'll see you in the next one.